TV shows, man, the Sports Center, ESPN News, Partner Interruption, Around the Horn, quite frankly, um, Outside the Lines, Baseball Tonight. You know what I mean? I watch sports, dog. It's basically, that's what I'm trying to say. I watch sports, man. That's what I'm into. Sports, sports, sports. Every sport. Hockey, golf, basketball, football, of course. Baseball. You know what I mean? I got a favorite team, a favorite player in every single sport. I'm not going to answer those questions. Let's go.
Hello, all. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for downloading that TuneIn app, that Coastal Carolina University app. However you're tuning in and listening in, I appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying your day so far. The sun rays are out. It's a good day to be alive and listening in. If you didn't know, you are listening to Q&A on W.C.C.U Radio, Coastal Carolina University student radio station. And now you know. I am your host, the one and only Addison J. Taylor. I'm here with the numbers man, the odds man, the Maker's Mark. I mean, whatever nickname you want to go with. Lord Helix, Chase McGrady. Chase McFadden is in the studio. How you doing, Chase?
I'm good, Addison. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Doing
Awesome.
well. Doing well. Thank you for being here once again. The people have been asking for you on a consistent basis, and people, you got what you asked for. We always provide you with the best. If this is your first time tuning in, or if you maybe got a little by the wayside and kind of forgot what we do on Q&A, we provide you the best and the most prominent sports topics in today's world, today's society, but from a younger generation's point of view. Our generation, the future world leaders, my peers, just kind of summed up on one show, folks. Q&A, that's what we're here for. A lot of things happened last night, a lot of things coming up this weekend. Chase, you told me yourself, Saturday, Vegas might explode.
Yeah, it might.
We got a lot of things going down.
Yeah, we got hockey playoffs, we got basketball playoffs, we got the Kentucky Derby. Baseball will be on. We'll have
Mayweather fight.
the big fight at night, and I'm still missing something. And we'll still have draft.
Yeah.
Late round draft. So football, basketball, baseball, hockey, fight,
It's crazy.
racing, everything.
It's going down. Chase reiterated that to me last night. I wasn't even fully aware. I forgot the Kentucky Derby was on this weekend as well. So we got a full lineup for you. We're going to give you some recap today, folks, from NFL Draft. I know that's what you want to hear. I know you have your questions. I've already had some questions proposed to me as well. And we got the answers for you. We're going to try to answer them to the best of our ability like we always do on Q&A. We got some, like I said, draft recap. We got a little NBA recap as well. We'll just kind of try to fit some things in there, folks. You know how we do. Sometimes we just get going and we lose track of time. To all my seniors, graduating seniors, we're going to get to the points, folks, but I want to say congratulations to you all. We're finally here. Let's bust it out. Let's finish. Let's not only finish, but let's finish strong. Graduation is in 8 days. I can't wait. God is good. We're here. Chase, I guess start with the least and go NBA recap. I just want to quickly talk about this Bucks and Bulls game. You didn't even talk about this with me last night because I assume you weren't amused.
I saw the score and I just turned away.
120
some of
to
the game
66.
came on after the draft, and I was watching a little bit of it.
Gosh.
It started off, I think, 8 or 10 nothing, and I was like, all right, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, it was like 17-3 at one point, and then I don't know. The Bulls 120 to 66, man. It's almost a 54-point deficit.
That's a high school girls basketball game score.
Yeah.
That's like watching UConn play the University of Tennessee of Alabama of California. It's embarrassing.
When I saw the stat sheet, and honestly, and Chase, I'm not taking any credit away from the Bulls. They should have been doing this every game. I mean, I love the Greek Freak, but I'm looking at the stat sheet, especially last night. I mean, when you let Dunleavy score 20 points, you might as well give that game to the Bulls. Clinched it in 6 games. I don't know. I think it says it doesn't really take anything away from the Bucks. Jason Kidd is doing what he can do. Kind of a weird situation for him going over there from Brooklyn anyway. I've always been kind of, I guess, not speculative about his skills as a coach, but I know that he did lobby his way to get to Milwaukee. So there was some business and some political sides there as well. But the Bulls should have been doing this, folks. I'm not surprised and I'm not amused.
The biggest surprise to me is how did you lose 2 games?
Right, exactly.
You lost 2 games, and you came in Game 6 and you finally beat them 120 to 66. I don't know if you should have beat them by almost double every single game, but they should have won at least by about 12 to 15 points.
Every game.
Pretty handily every game.
And I didn't ask you the numbers on it, Chase, because I didn't feel like there was a point to. I feel like you would smack me in the face with the McGrady Sports individuals. It just, but in retrospect, it was funny, the score. finished 4 points from the NBA playoff record for largest margin of victory. Minnesota beat St. Louis 133-75, March 19th, 1956. So, Bucks, at least you're on the record. You're in history. You're part of history. We'll see what they do next round. Kevin Love is out now officially 4 to 6 months. I've been reading that. Some people have been saying he can come back, but
it's tough.
Yeah, I saw the tear. I don't really know. I don't expect him to come back. A question was proposed to me, Chase. I'm gonna ask you this really quickly. Someone did ask me. Not he got injured on purpose, but I guess the extent of his injury is a part of him not wanting to play or not wanting to come back. Do you believe that? Do you believe that this is kind of the beginning of the end of him in Cleveland, be it in LA or whatever we talked? We talked about this on the show before.
I don't know if the injury has anything to do with that.
That's going a little bit too deep.
I imagine that Kevin Love's a pretty big competitor. He's never been in the playoffs. He probably wants to be out there.
Right.
I can't imagine that he doesn't. I can't imagine that he's like, oh, I'm injured. I'll just use this as an excuse to kind of go ahead and fade my way out of here.
Right.
I think at the end of the day, we've all played on teams with guys that we didn't necessarily get along with.
Right.
But when we won, it's a little easier to overlook it.
Right. And I think the thing is, Chase, and we've talked about this on the show, I think that's just Kevin Love. I think that's just who he is. I mean, even in Minnesota, and I heard some kind of similar talk on ESPN, which is where I kind of got the idea from, the question proposed. Not saying he's always been a loner, but even in Minnesota, he wasn't extremely happy. He never seemed super overjoyous, even when he was making the All-Star teams and being a walking double-double that he was. So even on a winning team, he didn't seem extremely happy.
Yeah, not all guys are flamboyant. Some guys are just flatline. Even when they're hitting game-winning shots, I mean, they're just the emotions are just flatline. They're just calm all the time. Think about most of the Spurs team. I mean, I know Duncan and Parker and all these guys celebrate, but when they're playing in the middle of the game, you don't get much from them. It's not super high and low. They're pretty flatlined.
Oh yeah.
Kevin Love kind of falls in that little realm. I'd be interested to see if he tries to come back. I don't think he's going to come back. There's no real need for him to come back in this series. See if Cleveland can push past Chicago. I think they can. If they get to a championship, he might sit out a game or two. He might think about coming back. I'd be really interested to see if Cleveland's tied 2-2, 3-3.
Try to come back.
Just put in like 10 minutes.
If he's
a decoy.
Right. If they make it that far, Chase, that would be enough, I feel like, extensive time for him to be out and recover. That'd be multiple weeks by the time the championships come up, right? So.
Yeah. I mean, he's got about the championship won't take place for at least unless everyone starts sweeping everyone, but I don't see that.
Right.
It'll be another 3 weeks. So he's got about a month to relax, recover, and see how he feels. But Cleveland's got to make it that far too.
Really quickly, because I really want to get to that draft stuff, Chase. You had some really interesting points that you made with me last night. I'm so anxious to get to that. I'm not rushing through the NBA. For my NBA fans out there, I'm not rushing through. But it is what it is, and we saw, and I wasn't too surprised. Before we get to that Clippers, let me ask you this, Chase. As far as the Hawks and the Wizards, what do you see there? Because let me tell you, I'm really pushing towards the Wizards in this one. I really think they're coming together a little bit. Bradley Beal's finally healthy. I've always been a fan of Gortat and Nene. Paul Pierce, that's what they brought him in for. And John Wall has just been a facilitator. Do you think they could beat the Hawks? I mean, are there really any? I haven't really seen any big numbers on that thus far. But what do you feel heading into that series? Just another maybe not so entertaining series, kind of a game for game.
Yeah, assuming the Hawks don't implode and lose two in a row
to the Nets.
Brooklyn.
Right. That's true.
And the Hawks are favored tonight by about 4.5, but I'm afraid to put any action on that because they've lost to Brooklyn twice in Brooklyn now.
Right.
So they might even push a Game 7. Hawks, I don't know. I feel like the Cephalosha loss is really hurting them.
Right.
I don't know if they'll lose to the Wizards, but I definitely see it going at least 6 games.
You're right about that injury.
7.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's had the same type of impact that Wesley Matthews injury had on Portland. Not saying they just would have outright beat Memphis, but, yeah, that really hurt them. Just jumping around. So it's been a lot of talk, Chase, about this Bulls-Cavs matchup. You talked about it on the show before, touch base on it. Not super much, detail, but what do you feel about that series? Do you think Kevin Love being MIA is going to be an intricate part to what the Cavs want to do? Do you still think they can beat the Bulls outright?
2 2 points in this series.
Mm-hmm.
Can the Cavaliers overcome the loss of Kevin Love?
Right.
And can Derrick Rose shoot from the three at the rate that he shot in the first series?
Right.
Because Derrick Rose, I don't know if you know this, set the record this season for the worst 3-point percentage in the history of in the NBA.
Wow. I didn't know that.
He shot about 13% from three.
Wow.
Horrible. And in this series, he shot almost 50. So he just kind of turned it on. Whether he can continue to shoot that rate,
right. It's to be seen.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if it was a little aberration in this series that he just kind of exploded from beyond the arc, or if I don't know if the whole season, if he was kind of hurt or injured or trying to get in his groove,
playing timid,
if that threw him off too.
Mm-hmm.
One of those is an aberration. We'll see what it looks like when he's playing Cleveland.
Right.
As far as Cleveland, it's all LeBron, it's all Irving now. Can these two guys essentially carry this team by themselves? They're gonna have to the first couple games because they're gonna be without Love and J.R. Smith.
Right.
So that's gonna be tough. J.R. Smith brings a lot to this team. I still like Cleveland a little bit, but I really like if Derrick Rose plays well. Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler, Joakim Noah. This is more of a complete team in Chicago.
Right. I think with the loss of Kevin Love too, Chase, you're hitting on all the right points. Tristan Thompson, who I love, he's an offensive rebounding machine. Double digits in offensive rebounds throughout the season. I just feel like when he comes into the game, the scoring definitely lacks. So it's going to be tough. If LeBron and Kyrie start to miss shots, you got to rely on James Jones to hit shots. And who James Jones is a great role player. He has rings. But his 3-point shot has been off, at some of the good looks that he's gotten in the playoffs. So I think, with Kevin Love out, you're definitely going to be relying on Tristan Thompson, Dellavedova, James Jones, JR once he comes back. Kendrick Perkins is even going to be needed. Brendan Hayward is going to be needed off the bench. So it's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting. But, I think, and this is nothing against the Cavs, but it is the Bulls for the taking, I feel like.
Yeah, that's right there for him.
So, we'll see, but I definitely think it can be done. LeBron is still the best player on the planet, so you cannot count him out. But we'll see. Before we go Spurs Clips, Billy Donovan, multi-year deal, Chase. He did get it. We talked about it on the show on last week. He got it now. He's there. He's officially the coach. Kevin Durant has been quoted to say that even though he doesn't have a lot of NBA experience, he's won titles on up to the highest level of basketball, in our world. So he feels pretty confident. We haven't really heard any reports from Russell Westbrook, but what do you feel about the hire? Like we said on the show Wednesday, predicated heavily off the success of Brad Stevens.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good kind of foundational standpoint to go by. I think Billy Donovan's an awesome coach, especially at the collegiate level. I think it could work. I still think the NBA is player based.
Right.
I think Jason Kidd is probably a good coach, but he coaches in Milwaukee.
Right.
So it's hard for him to have success. You need players in the NBA. It's a little different from every other sport. Like you need a superstar too.
Right.
Doesn't matter if look at Phil Jackson in New York. He can't do anything with that franchise because his players are they're just horrible together.
Right.
Doesn't matter if you're the best coach or the worst coach. With that said, I think Billy Donovan's a great coach. I think he can succeed, especially in Oklahoma City.
I feel like is it fair to say, and the question that's been proposed to me, it's championship or bust, really. I mean, because Scott Brooks is taking you there, he's taking you to the playoffs, but do you feel that way? I mean, if they do not continue to win, that because Kevin Durant's free agent after 2016, Westbrook 2017.
That's kind of my goal if I'm Donovan. I got to keep Durant in town. Okay. What do I have to do to keep Durant and Westbrook in town?
Right.
We'll figure out the rest. How do I keep those two together?
Right.
If you keep those two together, I think championships coming. If not, you'll be in the playoffs consistently year in and year out.
Right.
Second round, third round. I still think that's success. I don't think you necessarily have to quite get a championship. Championships build legacies.
So more so it's about Donovan creating the cohesiveness, the collaboration, with raising that morale, I guess, with the team and keeping it consistent so to keep those guys. It's more so about keeping those guys than winning, but they both go hand in hand. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
I got you.
Yeah, if he comes in and he loses Durant immediately or he loses the locker room somehow.
Yeah, that's it.
It's a bust right off the bat.
Right. Clippers Spurs, Chase, you talked about this. Really, not to bandwagon on what you said, but what you said was going to happen is exactly what happened, my friend. Game 7.
Yeah, was waiting for Game 7.
In L.A.
Got there a little differently than how I thought we would.
Right. Touch on it. What did you feel about it?
I really felt after they lost Game 5 with the basket interference that they had just kind of sabotaged themselves,
right,
and they weren't going to be able to go and win a second game in San Antonio.
Right.
And last night they outplayed them. I feel like the Clippers have outplayed the Spurs this entire series.
Yes. It's fair to say.
I went back. They won Game 1.
Mm-hmm.
Game 2, they just got blown out. Game 3, they should have won. Blake Griffin dribbled the ball right off his knee.
Yeah.
You just kind of threw one away. You win Game 4. Game 5, you lose essentially from a basket interference call, and then you find a way to win last night.
And that was a tough call, too.
To me, the Clippers should have won 5 of these games. This series should be over.
Right. You're right. You're definitely right about
that.
The
fact that it's Game 7 is no fault but their own. And I would have them, Vegas has them favored by 2 to win tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the Clippers until Glenn Baby Davis got hurt.
Sprains ankle, says he will be reevaluated today. So
if he does not play, I like the Spurs.
Yeah.
They're going to hack a Shaq DeAndre all game long.
Yep.
They're going to take possessions away from the Clippers. He's going to have to shoot 35% for them to stand a chance if he starts getting fouled. This 20%, 0 for 6, it's going to cost them the game.
They're going to have to put Hito Turkoglu in the game. And they're
going to have to play small. Last night they didn't even put Hito in. They put Barnes in, and they had Barnes on Diaw, and Diaw just made the easiest bucket I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He just stood up, reached over him, and dropped it off the backboard.
I think sometimes, and they forget that, and I'm not saying Boris Diaw single-handedly did this. I'm going to use the term single-handedly, but he won that series for the Spurs, I feel like. I mean, he dominated. I mean, he did it all. He passed, he shot threes, he posted up on the small guys, played bully ball. I mean, I love Boris Diaw's game. I mean, I feel like as one of the, I guess, elders of that team, he and Tim Duncan along, have really raised their play. That's what's been interesting to me about this series, Chase, because, and maybe, I don't know if this was wrong for me to think like this. Maybe I was a little dumbfounded, a little bewildered, but I felt like shutting down Tony Parker was going to be an integral part, and they've, I guess, not really done that, but he hasn't played well. But, what is it? What is allowing the Spurs to, really stay in it like this? I know Tim Duncan has the 120, 20, and 10 games, age 39, phenomenal. Definitely the greatest power forward to ever play the game. Longevity definitely goes into that. But what is it? What is allowing them to really stay competitive?
Duncan's playing awesome. Parker's doing a good job facilitating.
Is it Bellinelli? And
it was Bellinelli last night. So
and also, what's the other guard's name? You
I can't remember either. His name.
Patty Mills.
Patty Mills.
Patty
Mills
Mills
has stepped up in the first 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of just going by the hot hand. Whoever wants to step off the bench, whoever wants to contribute, whoever has the hot hand, we're going to feed that guy.
Right.
It's really been more about the Spurs. The Clippers are better.
Right.
The Clippers are better defensively and they're better offensively. How the Spurs have stayed in this series is literally getting DeAndre Jordan to the foul line, and he's wasting possessions for the Clippers.
Yeah.
The Clippers are losing 10 to 12 possessions a game because he's going to the foul line and he's not producing.
Right.
But they need him on the court because he is by far their best defensive player.
Yeah.
Sometimes their best rebounder. This game is going to come down to DeAndre Jordan. If Glenn Baby Davis can't go, he's got to hit free throws.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to shoot 50-50, but he can't go 0 for 6.
Right.
He's got to if they foul him the first time and he steps up and he hits both baskets, or he hits 1 or 2, and they foul him again and he hits 1 or 2, they'll pull off.
Right.
Because those are still points.
Right.
Those are still solid possessions. You don't want to just be giving them you're giving them free points.
Definitely right about that.
But if he comes out and he shoots 0 for 6, Clippers are going to be scrapping all night long.
Because we saw in that game last night, Chase, Chris Paul has found his jump shot. I mean, he's one of the most consistent mid-range jumpers, in the league. We've said that. You've said that multiple times. So he's found his way, but, he's going to have to – I mean, other people are going to have to give it. I didn't see a great game from Jamal Crawford. Austin Rivers hit some big jump shots, a couple threes to kind of keep it, close, but, sometimes it just seems like towards the end they make bad decisions. I saw it was, I think, 98, 95, 98, 96, something like that. I know we were talking back and forth about it, and Chris Paul took a 26-foot three, and I just was like, that just wasn't a good shot. It was early in the shot clock. You know, when it comes to half-court offense, is it the fact that, you know, Spurs half-court is better than Clippers half-court point-blank period?
Yeah, Spurs have much better ball movement.
Right.
Which is what you need in a half-court offense. You just got to move the ball around, find the open shot, take the open shot. The Spurs, I feel like, take a lot more open looks in the half-court offense. They use excellent ball movement. The Clippers are really working in transition.
Right.
Or they're trying to. But I feel like their offense has been well. I feel like Paul's played well, Griffin's played well, Crawford, Redick, Rivers has stepped up.
Yeah, they have.
Everyone's doing their part. DeAndre Jordan's played well. They're not deep on their bench like the Spurs, but they play their 8 guys.
Right.
They like their 8 guys. The question is, if Davis is out, now there's 7 guys. Who's going to be the 8th? Is it going to be Haydu? Is it going to be Turkoglu? Can he step up? Can he hold down Diaw? Can he play down low?
Right.
Can he keep these guys out of the box? I think it comes down to Jordan hitting free throws.
Yeah.
I really do. Jordan hitting free throws, and maybe if whoever the 8th man is, are they going to play small, or are they going to put somebody else down there?
And this is a question that was proposed to me before. I'm gonna get through this. I don't mean to hold you up, folks. I know you're waiting on that draft recap. You got some Kentucky Derby info too over there, Chase?
I can get some. I don't have much.
I didn't really see a whole lot for it. I guess we know. I mean, I've been looking at who the favorites are. We already know who's putting the most money up. But anyways,
I know that the favorite hasn't won in like the last 5 years.
Right.
So if you're looking for something to play, don't play the favorite. They're really not the favorites.
Right. With the Clippers Spurs, I'm really anxious to see, and this is a question that's been proposed to me. Should the Clippers go to hack Thiago Splitter? Would that be a smart decision?
If he's in, I think so. He still shoots, I think, a little above 30%.
Well, and his game is off as well.
Splitter hasn't played well at all.
Yeah, he's been missing open layups. That kind of low post game jump shot baby hook has not really been there. But it's going to be interesting. I guess give me your final pick. Give me a score as well, Chase, if you can, for Clippers Spurs Game 7 in LA. Give me a score as well if you can.
Whoever can score 100 will probably win. If
Okay.
the Clippers can get to 100, because the Spurs really haven't gotten to 100,
Right.
except in 3 games so far.
Last night it was 102-96.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Spurs have struggled. I've always kind of said 25 points a quarter. That's like a bucket a minute.
Mm-hmm.
That's your possession a minute. If you run up the shot clock all the way through, almost a bucket a minute, 25 points, 100 points a game. If you score 100 points a game all season long, you'll be in the playoffs.
Right.
That's your goal. The Spurs have struggled to get to that number in this series, where the Clippers have not so much. I think if the Clippers can get to 100, 105, 110 seals it easily.
Right.
But 100's where you want to get to.
It can be done.
Yeah, I think so.
So you're thinking maybe almost similar to last night, 100, 93, 94, something like that, maybe 5-6 points.
Yeah, the only thing that's going to allow the Spurs to score 100 points is if the Clippers come out small. If Barnes is on Diaw again,
it's over.
You're going to give away 15 easy points right off the bat. So you're down 15 points, 10 to 15 points, and you got to hope that DeAndre Jordan can make that up at the foul line.
Right.
So
because we've seen that Danny Green is off, but it really doesn't matter because, like we said, Patty Mills and Marco Bellinelli have definitely picked up the slack. Matt Bonner, he even came in and hit some shots. So I think Bellinelli was. I know Bellinelli and Patty Mills between last game and the game before last have been 4 for 4, 4 for 5. They're both hitting threes. They're hitting the shots. It's going to be interesting. So we got the score, Chase. We got it live on the air for those who heard. We got Clippers Game 7. McGrady Sports. 100 points have to be scored to win it. So let's see. Chase, you ready for that draft recap? What you got?
Let's do it.
Let me ask you this real quick. I guess not even ask. Put this out there for you. Andrew Wiggins did win Rookie of the Year. This year.
Yeah.
So, But draft recap, folks. I don't know who your favorite team is. Mine's the Carolina Panthers. But interesting, man. Very interesting. Not so many trades like we predicted. But, first 2 picks went straight through like we thought they would. Winston 1, Marcus Mariota 2. I guess typically, Chase, the usual what we see. cliche questions, winners and losers and things like that. We've been there and done that. We did that before the draft even happened. The question, man, that I want to ask to you, and we'll go into detail about Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, some of these other guys. Who just made bad picks? Because, we talked about this last night, and you reiterated the points to me that there's a difference between the right pick and I guess the quote-unquote smart pick for longevity. Guys you can plug in down the road. Some of these linemen were going very early. Just give me some teams, give me some, let's just play it all the way through. We can go we can do the first round, and just go all the way through it and really delegate that. I'll start one. I'm going to start here with you with Jameis Winston. This question was proposed to me by my bro Q Phil. Appreciate it. Not even with the crab leg picture, just retrospect, larger than that. Everything summed up, accumulated into one. Is Jameis Winston's career going to forever be tainted by the dark cloud, I guess, of the maybe, stupidity that relies on his off-the-field actions, some of the things he says, his body language? Because you brought this up to me, and I did see this last night. Very cocky. And it's okay with being confident, but not, you have to be confident and yet humble. It seems like he was awaiting this, which, we knew he was going to be the first pick. I wasn't extremely surprised, but do you feel like that dark cloud is really going to cover no matter what he does on the field, just because, he's created this kind of, persona for himself in the eyes, of the media and everybody else? How do you feel about that?
I don't think so. I don't think if he comes out, it depends on his success rate.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is dependent in sports about how you succeed and how well you play.
So if he does well, put behind him.
Comes out and this team makes the playoffs and there's no new off-field issues. I think it's very easy to say what's in the past is in the past.
He's
and
grown up. Mm-hmm.
If they come out and they go 3-13 and he's like Johnny Manziel in the clubs every night.
He was a problem.
Yeah, Plexico Burris shooting himself in the leg.
You didn't even have to do that.
Field issues like that. As a franchise, I want my quarterback to be competitive.
Right.
I want my quarterback to put in the effort. I want him to be a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want him to be humble. He doesn't have to be humble in the locker room or on the field, but when he's on camera, I need him to be smart and I need him to be humble.
Right.
I'm thinking of all the great quarterbacks: Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Do any of these guys stand on the camera? Do any of these guys have a story which has been portrayed poorly, like the crab leg story,
right?
And then use that story to kind of like be funny?
Yeah.
They don't do it.
I see what you're saying. I definitely see. That's a good point.
And he said everything was in the past, and I was saying that if the Bucs need to take Winston, and he's the best quarterback in the draft, and they need to draft, I realize the risk reward is there. I had a board last night where I had all the players ranked,
mm-hmm.
and I assumed that I had no needs. I was a general manager, and I had 0 needs. My whole team was complete.
Right.
And all I needed to do was draft the best players, and I had Winston at 8 and Mariota at 21. That's just where they were.
Right.
How I felt they were best players on the board. And then their risk reward of all field issues and other things. How I rated those went into the ranking as well. I felt like Winston was the risk, but he was a 5 to 10th pick risk. Maybe it's behind him. He's got enough talent to overcome those to take the risk.
Right.
With that said, there are needs in the NFL. So the Buccaneers, I felt like, had to make this pick.
Right.
I'm just so hesitant. I was giving him the benefit of the doubt that maybe the stuff was behind him. And then I saw the interview. He wasn't very humble. He's pretty cocky. He looked like he was ready to party last night. And I was like, well, man, he's excited. He's a kid.
Right.
He's still 21, 22. Let him have some fun. Let him be the number 1 pick. And then 20 minutes later, he posted a picture of crab legs. And I was like, this kid, he doesn't get it.
Yeah.
This kid doesn't get it. The picture's been taken down since now, but that's somebody telling him to take it down. He doesn't understand what's a good decision and what's a bad decision.
True.
And I don't understand whether that's the group he hangs around, but we've seen this in the past. These things don't go away. These Ocho Cinco, Johnny Manziel, Terrell Owens, these guys, rip apart franchises. They rip apart locker rooms, and you're putting this guy at quarterback.
You're true. That is true, Chase.
To
I can't
lead your
argue with that.
franchise.
And I'm saying it's not in defense of Chad Johnson, but see, I came up in high school, and Chad Johnson was my favorite receiver. I was called Chad Jr. in high school because, during that time, he was playing well. Now his Miami, New England stuff, I had stopped rocking with him. You know what I mean? The headbutting incident, the reality shows, all that. But I do feel you on that because, he not created that persona within me, but I wanted to play good, but I wanted to look good too.
Yeah.
So I definitely understand.
And players,
it's a fine line, and you have to be able to perform. If you're going to be like that, then you have to perform too, but you almost have to perform at not maybe such a higher level, but a consistent level. So I see what you're saying.
If you're going to generate controversy, you better perform.
Right.
And nobody had a problem with Ocho Cinco until he stopped performing.
And
skill players, and skill players can get away with a little more rah-rah and in controversy than other positions because it's just them out there. It's just them lined up against a corner. Can you think of a quarterback? Because I was trying to think of a quarterback last night that has all-field issues that's even come close to excelling in the NFL, and all I could think of was Michael Vick.
Yeah.
He had the dog incident, spent 2 years in jail, came back, had one really good season, and then he kind of fell back off the board.
Yeah.
Still, no Super Bowl, no true success. I think that team made the playoffs. I can't think of a quarterback who has baggage with him entering the NFL that has succeeded. It definitely wasn't Brady. It definitely wasn't the Manning brothers. Phillip Rivers, no. A-Rod, no. Like, none of these guys have baggage. None of these guys have question marks from all-field issues. You're putting this kid under center. You're telling him to lead your team. He's got the weapons around him. Tampa Bay has a good defense. Tampa Bay has big receivers. All they really need is a quarterback.
Yeah.
I hope it works out for him because the risk factor here is monumental. I wouldn't be surprised if we're sitting here next year and they're in the 5 or 6 pick and they need a quarterback again. I won't be surprised if they're in a Cleveland Brown situation where the Browns are like, we still need a quarterback.
True indeed. It's going to be interesting. I mean, like you said, the stats are there, the prowess is there. The on the field prowess is there. So, it'll be interesting to see. Like you said, the pieces are around him. I'm pretty sure Lovie Smith called him as soon as he saw that post and asked him, what exactly are you thinking? So I understand. And I always not relate to Jameis, but I try to, be a little bit more understanding because I've been young once. Like you said, we've all been young. But, when you're in a position of that magnitude, I definitely see what you're saying. You got to be a little bit more integral about the decisions that you make, and even as far as the Twitter posts, and that's with our generation. You know what I mean? We've talked about that on the show. Technology, you got to post it. Their fans want to see you. They want to see you, celebrating and things like that. But be humble, and I feel you on that because you chose to not come to the draft to be with your family. Delegate with them. Let them humble you. It has to coincide. So I definitely see what you're saying.
The argument a lot of the NFL players, the analysts, and everyone had on ESPN was that when you are selected number one, you now represent that franchise. Yeah. When you're selected by a pick, regardless of number one or pick, you now represent that franchise. You represent that team. So a lot of people were upset that him and Mariota weren't there at the draft. Walk across the stage, do your due diligence. This team is selecting you. Respect that. Show that you want to represent this team now. Show your respect. The fact that he wanted to stay home, I respect that because you can only bring 6 people with you, and it would be difficult for me to decide which 6 people I brought.
True indeed.
Because it takes more than 6 people to build a village, to build my career.
True indeed. True indeed, Chase.
So I respected that from them. I won't be surprised if next year the NFL has some kind of fine system in place.
Where you
don't go or you don't walk. But to me, the crab leg thing at this point, if you're at home, you need to be humble. You need to be with your family. That it's premeditated. Yeah. Why are there crab legs there? Do you love crab legs that much that you can't live without them for one night?
I do love crab legs.
And is nobody at the house saying, "Don't you take a picture with those crab legs"?
That's what I'm saying. And that's where the family
saying,
comes
do we
into
need
play.
Crab legs here.
Right.
Make sure. If you have a problem with a player like if it's Kobe Bryant's getting drafted and he has an issue with hanging out with other girls. Like Tiger Woods wasn't taking pictures with other girls while his issues, marital statuses. You know what the problem is. Don't just put the problem in front of the player.
True indeed.
I don't know who surrounds him. I don't know who's in his ear, or if it's just his own lack of maturity, or his own lack of understanding that how this stuff is going to be portrayed. Because he might think it's funny, but to me and everyone else evaluating him, we're like, he doesn't get it. His maturity's not there. You gotta walk into this room and you gotta convince guys that have been in this league on your team for 5, 6, 7 years.
Close to 10 years.
They can trust you. I don't trust him. If I'm on the Buccaneers right now, as soon as I see that picture, I'm like, what did we just do?
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, and I can say, Chase, that it's going to be up to him, because I'm telling you, not saying the veterans are going to bully him, but he's going to go. They don't care. And, we've heard them on, countless of interviews, countless of rookie mini camp and things like that, where they interview the players that are already there. You're going to get hazed. They don't care. Can you play? Those boys put up and shut up and play. So, they don't want to see all that. And you're right about it, Chase, because these guys don't care that you're number one pick. They don't care you've won a title. If he goes into that locker room and he disrupts it, he's an interference, he's a mistake, they'll let him know.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll treat him as such. And the continuity will lack on the field. Huddle breaking will be poor. There's different things you can look at, folks, to pinpoint these things. The morale has to be high. Let's get it through it, Chase, because we're cutting down. We can talk about that forever. Just want to reiterate to everyone, if you didn't know, you are listening to Q&A on W.C.C.U. Radio, Coastal Carolina's student radio station. Your host, Addison Taylor. Next pick, 2, Marcus Mariota. No trades. They said the Eagles did try to come up and make a trade. The Titans refused. No word from the Chargers. Chargers were very adamant. Equal value to Minnesota Vikings with Adrian Peterson, very adamant about not trading Phillip Rivers, Chase. Very adamant, extremely adamant. I mean, I've been seeing multiple reports and quotes. Marcus Mariota at 2. Got another question proposed for you that I'm ready to dish at you really quickly. And this is the question. And I'm not comparing him to this guy. Will Marcus Mariota be another or kind of similar gameplay to, and I'm not comparing him in any way mentally, Johnny Manziel, and only saying that his game, it's gonna be hard for it to translate. Manziel's wild game is not going to translate. We know that.
Yeah.
Will Mariota's game translate, Chase? Getting out of the pocket, being able to stay in that pistol formation, that shotgun. Like we talked about it, we gave you the statistics, folks. 99.4% of the time he was in shotgun or bull, 3-step, 4-step back. Will it be a problem? Do you think, the guys in Tennessee, is Wisenhunt there?
Yeah, Ken Wisenhunt.
What do you feel about that?
This is one of my top 5 worst picks of the first round.
Yeah.
I really thought that Tennessee was hyping up Mariota so that they could increase trade value.
Mm-hmm.
Mariota's a bust. We discussed last week how I thought Mariota was a bust. There's a different system in college than there is in the NFL, and players historically don't translate well.
Right.
No one that's ever played for Chip Kelly has succeeded in the NFL offensively at all, to any degree, really.
This is true.
Other than making a team and
the stats back this up, folks. I don't mean to cut you off. I just want to let everyone know that the stats do back this up. Chase is not just being negative. We spit the stats to you. The stats do say that. The draft, prior drafts say it.
Yeah, LaMichael James, Josh Huff, DeAnthony Thomas, Kenjon Barner, these guys are all
even on defense.
Yeah, these guys are defensive. Some good players.
I kind of like what and I like what Deion Jordan did until he got suspended. So that was just foolish.
But skill players have been just atrocious.
Yeah.
I don't see Mariota translating. I don't know if I'd compare his game to Manziel's.
I feel like his would be an easier translation.
I see RG3 here.
Yeah.
Good arm, big body. He's built. He's probably He's probably a little bigger than RG3. RG3's a little more lean.
Yeah.
You just can't, he's gonna have to develop as a pocket passer.
Right. And
he's not there. He's gonna rely on his legs, which to me increases injury risk. Can he play a full 16 games? I don't know. Is he even gonna beat out Mettenberger for the starting role, who they like?
Right.
I can see Mariota becoming a good quarterback in this league, potentially. I hate using potential, especially with the number 2 overall pick in the draft.
Right.
To me, when Cleveland offered this team their first their 2 first-round picks. I don't understand why they didn't take it.
Yeah,
I didn't understand
Cleveland,
why
I
that
mean,
wasn't enough.
and that was a better deal than what
guy's
the
the
Eagles
answer,
provided.
but I don't think he is. I think he's a couple years out, and I don't ever see him cracking the top 10 of top quarterbacks in this league.
Some of the highlights I saw, Chase, were they really tied into the points that you made on Wednesday. Just watching that one route the whole way. And you said it, you just got to throw them open, and that's what I mean. A lot of those seam routes, it's just pitch and catch. You're not playing the best talent.
They were showing highlights from him after the pick. Look at these deep throws. These guys are wide open.
Right.
They're all wide open in college.
And they showed
I don't want to see a receiver 10 yards away from the closest defender catching a ball.
Right.
I can make that look good.
True that.
You got to throw these guys open in the NFL, and he's not there. And I don't understand why people don't see it.
Some of the throws, some of the decision making is very questionable as well. I saw a couple of routes, wide open routes, but he's tried to force that seam, force that post. And that's where the problems were. Like, he tries to get out of the pocket. You got to know when to get out of the pocket.
Yeah.
So you're definitely right about that. You heard it here first. You heard it from Mr. McFadden, Jason McGrady. Potential bust more with Mariota than Winston.
Yeah, I think Winston has the
play into off the field stuff.
I think Winston has the ceiling. Should be a top 5 quarterback in this league, kind of like Cam Newton does.
Right.
I don't think Mariota has that ceiling. I think best case scenario, Mariota turns out to be a quarterback kind of like a status of like a Matt Ryan or a Phillip Rivers, kind of the 10 to 15 range of top quarterbacks. Never probably going to win a championship. Definitely not going to win it in Tennessee.
So he'll put the stats up, but the team won't have success. That's what you're saying, pretty much. I mean, he'll put the stats up to a certain degree, but not to elevate his team to.
That's his ceiling. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. But that's his ceiling.
Right.
He's never going to be a top 10 quarterback in this league. I don't see it. There just aren't quarterbacks that run. They're saying he's like Russell Wilson, but bigger. He's not Russell Wilson.
The decision making was definitely better with Russell Wilson coming out.
Yeah.
We're cutting down, Chase, on the time. Let's get it through. 3, we got Jacksonville, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Fowler.
Mr.
Really
Fowler. Shocked me. I thought this is where Leonard Williams would go if quarterbacks went 1 and 2. I like Fowler a lot. He's my second guy off my board. I had Williams first and Fowler second. I was really surprised because I felt like this is where Williams was going to go, and I felt like if he didn't go here, he would go next.
Right.
Good pick for Jacksonville. This is what they need. He's the best defensive end on the board.
Clearly.
I really have no complaints with this. If you felt like Fowler was better than Williams or fit your need more than Williams, by all means, go for it.
He's big body. You can move him around. He can definitely multitask. We've seen that task switching. They can put him at tackle, and I think he can do it all, man. I'm just anxious to see what they do with their offensive picks because I almost forgot about Blake Bortles, actually. And I'm really interested to see how they move in the future with that. Not really a lot to touch on with Dante. I like his game. I can't really be mad at the pick. I was more anxious what we talked about last night, how far Leonard dropped. Let's go to 4 with Amari Cooper. Easily talked about. We predicted this. You said this on the show. Smart pick, right pick?
Yeah, I think so. The only thing that kind of worried me was when Williams fell. I was like, Oakland, the best defender in the draft's right there. You don't necessarily need him, but the best player in the draft is available.
Can I match him up with Khalil Mack?
Yeah. Do you draft the best defensive player, or do you draft the best wide receiver and fill a need? And they did that. I was a little surprised because I thought they might take Williams.
Right.
But they needed Amari. They wanted Amari, and thank goodness they didn't draft someone like Darius Hayward-Bay here when. Yeah, it was the obvious.
I was
choice.
hoping that because at one point I was like, they're going to take Parker, and I'm not dissing, Devontae Parker or Perriman or any of those boys. The boys can ball, but yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. Amari Cooper was definitely he was a smart pick. He was the right pick, consistent play. He's done it under other guys. He's done it under Lane Kiffin. He's done it under a magnitude of different type of coaches. He can definitely get the job done. I know they'll get that speed right. I feel like the upper body strength is there. We've seen him bully for the ball. He can definitely do that. I'm just anxious to see where they put him. Wide out, slot. I'm really anxious with that. But they'll get that right. Derek Carr needs a weapon, and they got it. Let's move along, Chase. Where are we at now?
We're at Washington. I thought Washington would take Leonard Williams here. I realized they had a huge offensive line.
Did they take that Iowa guy? They take Sheriff?
Yeah, Brandon.
Yeah, okay.
I really thought they would go Williams here just to solidify that defense.
Right.
But they had one of the worst offensive lines last year. They took Brandon. I don't fault him for it.
Right.
I mean, I was really high on Leonard Williams, and I felt like he was the safest pick. And the offensive line class isn't as strong this year as it has been.
It's not. And when you brought that up to me, Chase, at first, not saying I was upset over this pick, but I was like, man, you got to take Leonard right there. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Washington as a team, I mean, you just need to. Gruden you need to take Leonard there. I didn't see why you don't, but once you brought that point up to me that it's not deep like it was before, and this might not be an exact predication, but the success of Zach Martin last year was really a big eye opener. I think people feel like when it comes to those guards and tackles, they can be plugged in and have the same success. I think he started all games last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So smart pick. I definitely feel what you're saying on that. I just wanted to see Leonard go already. I thought it was really weird that he hadn't yet. Let's move along, Chase. Where are we at now?
Now we're at the Jets, and now we're at Leonard Williams.
Yeah.
And if you're the Jets, this is the pick. I'm ecstatic that he fell all the way to number 6 because I'm trying to figure out how.
Right.
I was looking here. If you're the Jets, I was like, am I taking maybe Fowler, Beasley,
right.
White? What's it going to shake out to? Is Mariota going to fall?
Right.
Like, am I trading up for Mariota? The Jets were in a kind of awkward situation. The fact that Leonard Williams fell to them, I am.
So really, the Jets were really just blessed to have him right there. That was easy picking.
Yeah, that's easy picking.
Yeah.
You run a 3-4 defense.
Head coach is a former defensive coordinator from Arizona, right? So he's a defensive guy. Okay.
Yeah. They're gonna run a 3-4. This is your nose guard. Put him in a 5 technique. Let him run wild. This is perfect.
Compare his game, Chase, real quickly. 1246. We're just counting him down. You know how we do, folks, on Q&A. Give me a comparison to him of somebody who might be in the league now, might be retired, veteran. Kind of give me a comparison, because that's one thing I haven't quite done with Leonard. I haven't been able to pinpoint somebody who he really not reminds me of. I hate really asking those type of questions because I'm not comparing these guys. You know what I mean? I just really, who do you see a mirror of, kind of a shadow of maybe a former or current NFL player on the defense?
I don't even know. I feel like Williams is pretty unique in his own standpoint.
Right. Because I feel like he's a big guy, man, but he can move.
Yeah,
some of his highlights, man, he puts those swing moves. He's very versatile. You're definitely right.
For whatever reason, Julius Peppers came to my mind. But he's much bigger than Peppers. Peppers is an end. He's more of a tackle / end.
But he has the same speed as Peppers too, Chase.
Yeah, he might not be quite as fast as Peppers.
A little slower. Excuse me.
But yeah, he's very quick off the ball.
Right.
He's very quick off defenders. And you can move him around. They have him listed as a defensive end, but you can put him in nose tackle. He can hold his own.
Do you think he could? Is he too big to play that hybrid? What's seeming to be popular now, that OLBDE kind of stay up in the air.
Yeah, he's too big to drop back.
Too big to do that.
You want him in a 5 technique, maybe even like a 3 technique. You don't want him in a 2.
Okay. And you said what kind of defense does the Jets want? 3-4?
Yeah. 3-4.
Okay.
At 7. This was one of the very surprising picks to me, Chicago.
Kevin White.
Yeah, we were talking about whether or not they were going to try to.
He did a lot of promotion for himself. With the 40, with saying he's the best receiver in the draft. He really, I think, I'm not going to say he single-handedly put himself up here, but I mean, came from JUCO, didn't get a lot of offers. I think West Virginia was one of the only D1 offers that he did have. He did well. Touchdown ratio was there. His yak was phenomenal, but like you said, it's also college. He was, he did have some very, confrontational catches where he went up and got it up against 2 guys, things like that. But at the same time, did West Virginia play some of the best people, in the world? So, what do you feel about that? Just strictly replace Brandon Marshall is the only thought that they had in their head when this pick came up?
I think so. I really thought they would go defense. I thought they'd go Vic Beasley here.
Yeah. Me too.
And as soon as they selected Kevin White, because I think that's what I even texted you last night. I was like, they need defense, maybe Beasley. I was like, but they might try to just take White and replace Marshall with another White out, and that's what they did. And I was just kind of like, I don't know if that's. I'm always pro draft the best player over draft what you need.
Right.
And in a perfect world, the best available player is what you need.
True indeed.
I don't know if this is the right pick for them. I don't know if this helps fix them. It gives them another weapon. So now you got Kevin White, Alshon, Forte, Bennett. I just felt like you already had enough weapons on offense.
Right.
you could have
there was
addressed
room
some
to
other
address.
needs.
Yeah, and like you talked about, Chase, before, like we talked about last night, you know, there's plenty of receivers in this draft that have performed.
Yeah.
We haven't even got on the Devin Smiths yet. We haven't even got to.
There's still Green Beckham. Granted, he has off-field issues.
Yeah,
Sammy Coates, Devin Smith, Dorsett, Strong. All these guys are still there.
Right.
Well, I think the Colts took Dorsett.
Yeah, Dorsett did go. We still got the guy from Arizona State. I can't even think of his name. I'm so mad. Number 21, but he's still there. There's still some available receivers deep in this draft. But we'll see. Well, we got rounds 2 and 3 today. 7 o'clock.
Yeah, rounds 2 and 3.
Who we up next? What we got?
We got Atlanta. Atlanta took Vic Beasley. Good pick. They needed defense. It didn't
Yeah.
matter where. They needed it
Clearly.
on all 3 levels.
Clearly.
The only thing that really surprised me was when Leonard Williams was sitting there at 6. I was like, please trade up for him.
Yeah,
Trade up
trade
for
up
him.
and get him.
Trade up. Go, 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 go.
Right.
Vic Beasley still a good pick. I don't. It's a solid pick. It's what Atlanta needed.
Yeah.
Best available player on the board. They had a need, so that's your perfect situation.
I kind of wanted to see them take Dupree or Gregory. I knew they weren't going to go, but I'd like to see Atlanta get one of those, like we talked about, hybrid type players who could just do it all. But Vic Beasley's good, man. I've been high on him even as a Carolina fan. I thought he was just sick. I know he can definitely ball, big body. I think they'll get his speed right. Definitely big frame, so they'll get him a little bit more solid on the next level. As we're winding down, Chase, 1250, just kind of, not scam through, but, just touch on, just the poor picks that you saw. Got maybe, and that just accumulates everything, poor pick by the organization, guys going too early. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just kind of roughly, touch on that and give me your insight, because you provided me with some great insight last night and the people need to hear it. And I do have an exam at 1:30. So we'll make sure we're on time for that. But yeah, man, just kind of go through. I mean, who do you feel like, not necessarily bust, but, like you said, picked for the long road when they needed something a little bit better right now. So you can touch on the magnitude of things. So, who do you feel like else dropped? Do you feel like, Leonard dropping pushed everyone down? That Dupree pick to the Steelers, I think he was like perfect for them. Just touch on some stuff, man. Give the people, what they need and what the insight you were providing me with last night as well.
I think right off the bat, we're still at number 9. We're at the Giants. They took Eric Flowers at offensive tackle.
What did you feel about that? That's what I wanted to ask you.
They needed an offensive lineman.
They needed to protect Eli.
I didn't know if Flowers was the best offensive lineman, but he definitely wasn't the best player.
Right.
A lot of offensive linemen and tackles started getting picked early in this draft because people needed linemen, and the lineman class is really down this year.
Yeah, it definitely was.
So I was like, do you risk it? You just start taking the best available linemen, and I felt like that was a rush. People just started scooping them up.
Right.
When they had other needs, and I felt like maybe they felt like they can address those needs with less tiered players later on.
I feel like once the linemen started to go, like once the Iowa kid was taken, I feel like it just started to roll. People were like, let's get these linemen, because they're not there.
Number 10, St. Louis, Todd Gurley.
Yeah, oh my God, man, touch on that very strongly for me, Chase, because about the ACL or the MCL, whatever it was, in November.
I know Jeff Fisher.
What do you think, man?
I know Jeff Fisher likes taking running backs. I like Todd Gurley. I don't know if this is what St. Louis needed. He fits what they want. Let's assume he's healthy. He fits the role they want.
Right.
Big physical runner. You just used a first-round pick, a top 10 pick on a halfback with injury history, and you play in a division with Seattle, Arizona, and San Francisco.
Yeah.
So
Great point.
6 games out of the year, this guy is statistically irrelevant.
Right.
Unless he becomes Marshawn Lynch, and even still so, Seattle can tell you that Marshawn is irrelevant against Arizona, San Francisco, and St. Louis sometimes.
The stats back that up, Chase.
This is a division,
and that's who he models his game behind.
Yeah, this is a division that shuts down the run better than any other one in football.
Mm-hmm.
It almost doesn't even matter who your halfback is. These 4 teams beat up each other on the ground too. They all like running the ball. They all like stopping the run.
Right.
So I get it that you need a physical guy. But I felt like if there was ever a team that could maybe develop this division into a like the Cardinals have sort of tried to do with Michael Floyd and Palmer and Fitzgerald. They tried to spread it out. They've had success in that division. I've wanted somebody in this division to take that reign and be like, we're gonna gun it.
Right.
We're gonna gun it.
They have
against these
Ellington.
guys.
Ellington is a running back, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they went a little less physical with Ellington and said we're gonna air it out, and they had success a lot last year until Palmer got hurt.
So do you feel like it was? I didn't mean to cut you off. I guess. What's the correct question or what's the correct statement? Did they take him because, A or one, whatever point you want to make, he was better than Gordon? 2, because they feel like he's ready to go? Or, 3, they wanted that Marshawn Lynch type of back. They think he can have an immediate impact.
I think, first of all, they have to be sure that he's healthy. So
right.
I think they think that.
Okay.
Jeff Fisher likes halfback. Jeff Fisher, in his mind, has to think that this is the next Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah.
This is the next physical runner that changes an offense entirely.
Because you know how adamant Jeff Fisher is about coaching about his players, period.
Yeah. He loves his Eddie George guys.
Yeah.
This is a guy that will draft running backs. He has to think in his mind this is the next Marshawn Lynch. This
right.
has catastrophic risk all over it for a top.
Definitely. When I saw that, and I love his game, very big. The thing that I like about Todd Gurley, strong legs, man. When this guy runs, he almost looks slow because his legs are so big. You know what I mean? He really plays that bully ball. I love it, but I'm not comparing him to Marcus Lattimore at all, man. But it's gonna be hard. You know what I mean? It's gonna be hard when that knee's getting attacked every day in practice as well.
People tackle low now too.
Yeah,
they tackle low.
Can't go up high, Chase.
Yep.
Can't go up a lot. You can't go up high, Chase. You're gonna get fined.
Yep.
Get suspended. You can't go up high. The NFL created this, Chase. So, if you're the Rams there and they're telling you, Jeff, let's take a running back, you taking him or Gordon?
I think in that division you take Gurley. I have Gordon rated higher above my board, but I think Gordon's a more polished overall back.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this guy run in a year.
Right.
I'm basing everything off of just what I saw
film
before he got hurt.
Film.
Yeah. So it's a high risk, high reward kind of pick, and I hope it works out for Fisher, but
we'll see.
Well, yeah, you have a pretty good chance of being in the top 10 again next year.
Right.
11, Trey Waynes, I like it. Good pick. Favorite cornerback off the board. You play in a division that has Aaron Rodgers in it, so you need to stop the passers. You got to face Rodgers, Cutler, Stafford. You need a corner. Good pick.
Why were they saying the things that they were saying about Trey Waynes though, Chase? It was weird because these same guys, Gruden and these guys who they don't have anything to say about anybody. The 2 months before, ESPN loves to do this coverage of the draft, which they start doing the coverage too early. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. I mean, the one interview, they were just watching, they were covering Jameis Winston. He was in his hotel or whatever, and it was just him sending a Snapchat or a voice, whatever he was doing with his girl, Breezy Boo or whatever he was calling her. What does that have to do with it? I don't know. I could talk about that forever. I'm not even going to start on that.
There were issues with Trey Waynes being able to make open field tackles.
That's what they've been in, and I talked about that with you.
I just
but
need him to cover somebody.
Right.
He plays in a division with the Lions, the Packers, and the Bears. We need somebody to cover somebody.
Right.
We'll worry about open field tackles, and the rest of their defense will make up for that because they have good defense.
And they talked, he was on an island. It was just funny the things that they were saying. They hadn't brought up these points before. I told you about the tackling I thought was an issue, but like you said, he's not going to really have to do so much of that there, which is understood. Yeah, but why were they coming at him about, just, I guess, not really having to do so much? They were saying, like, his, I guess, mental prowess wasn't that high because he wasn't asked to do a lot of things at Michigan State, but they're acting like Michigan State is UAB or something. I'm like, you can't just sneeze and get in there and play defense. This man started 3 years. Come on, man. 2 years, whatever it is. So, I definitely didn't, fuel into the fire on that one. I definitely think that was a smart pick. Definitely the best corner in the draft. Where we at now?
12's Cleveland, Danny Shelton, best defensive tackle available.
That's the Washington kid, right?
Yeah.
What do you feel about him?
He'll be fine. That's what they needed. New Orleans took an offensive lineman. I felt like this was a reach.
He's 6'7" out of Stafford. What is New Orleans trying to do?
I have no idea. I still don't know. I'll reevaluate New Orleans when this draft is over, but their offseason's been crazy. I don't know what their identity is supposed to be.
Right. They have a couple of picks. This
see.
year a lot of people have a lot of picks. My Panthers, we have 9 picks. I'm anxious to see what we do.
New Orleans has got 5 picks in the first 75. We'll see what they do with them. Miami took Devontae Parker. I love this pick. It gives them a weapon. They lost way too many weapons in the offseason. Wallace, Hartline, Clay, all these guys left. They needed somebody.
And they have
Landry.
faith in Tannehill, Chase. You saw they're picking up
like
they're picking
Tannehill.
up his extension, $16 million. I mean, he's gonna get paid. He's gonna get paid. It's time.
First trade, San Diego traded up, got Melvin Gordon. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
This is beyond beautiful. Best halfback in the draft.
Were you perplexed by the lack of trades, Chase? Because remember you told me with the salary cap information, the new salary cap, stuff that's out there now, that there'd be more trades. Do you think people were just a little
I thought we were
scared, or there were trades proposed and people were declining them too?
Yeah, I think everyone was kind of just getting their need dropped to them, and players weren't really dropping. I think Williams kind of fell back.
So it was most of players just kind of falling into your lap. Let's just take them. They're there.
And I think teams maybe up front in the top 15 were asking a lot.
Yeah.
If you wanted to come into that top 10, because there to me there were 10 to 15 guys that were can't miss in this draft, and I felt like if you wanted to get one of those 10 to 15 guys, teams were making you pay up a first, a second, a third.
Right.
And nobody was really willing to do that, because if you're behind the 15, if you're in the second half of the draft, you don't have monumental needs to fill. Really.
Right.
You should be in a pretty good shape.
I just thought it was weird, Chase. We saw a lot of guys fall, man. Leonard fell. I mean, and we'll get to this with the pick. I don't want to, ruin it for anyone, but you saw the draft. You know what happens. Malcolm Brown, man, fell all the way to the Pats' last pick.
Yeah.
We'll touch on that, though. I'm sorry. Where we at, though?
So this pick is wonderful for San Diego. They brought in Stevie Johnson.
Yeah.
I
didn't. Yeah, I saw that.
Mario
I saw that last night.
Alexander. They still have Malcolm Floyd. They still have Antonio Gates. They still have Ladarius Green. This team has weapons.
Yeah.
The only thing they lost was Ryan Matthews, and I think Melvin Gordon's better than him.
Yeah.
So this team just did
Definitely
wonders
more physical
for San Diego.
Yeah.
Houston took a cornerback in Kevin Johnson. Where was he on my board?
Is that the Wake Forest kid?
I had him third. Yeah, Wake Forest cornerback. Good pick. They need help.
He's very tall, very lengthy.
Yeah,
Richard Sherman comparisons.
Andrew Luck, so you gotta defend the pass.
Right.
Worst pick in the draft. Here it comes. San Francisco took Eric Armstead, defensive end.
Out of Oregon.
Out of Oregon.
I told Phil, and Phil's a coworker at work. Die hard. Bruce Willis die hard San Francisco 49ers fan. And I told Phil, and we talked about this, Chase, they're one of the main teams that this draft will affect their future. They can't play with this draft, Chase. Just break down that pick for me. We still got some time.
I don't know. If you're San Francisco, you're in a prime spot here to take a risk.
Let me ask you this. Who do they need to take? I didn't mean to cut you off. Did they need to go offense or better defense?
They
what do you think?
They needed to go defense.
Yeah.
They don't need any. Their offense is going to be a mess, but they need defense in that division.
Okay.
Losing Willis. I forget the kid's name that retired. Is it Bowling? Navarro Bowman's coming back from injury, but he seems to be healthy. This team has Justin Smith and Navarro Bowman that can play defensive end. They already have two defensive ends.
Right.
They needed to address a lot of other issues on defense, corner, safety, especially linebacker. I don't know why they took Armstead here. They took a defensive end, essentially, I'm assuming, to develop him or have another pass rusher. I know there's a philosophy in the NFL where you can't have enough pass rushers. There's Gregory. There's Ray. There were guys here that I thought were worthy of the risk, especially Ray.
Definitely. Over him.
Yeah, this is my fourth best defensive end on the board, and there's two guys I have ranked above him. Granted, they have all field issues. I really don't think Ray has any.
Broncos took him. We'll get to that.
In a state where it's legal, it's just not legal per NFL rules.
Right.
That's hazy for a 20-year-old to sometimes understand.
Yeah. We're talking about right now. I didn't mean to cut you off. If you're just tuning in, Chase has solidified that the 49ers pick in this first round was the worst pick thus far in the first round. 49ers pick. We'll see, Chase. I just don't know what direction they're headed in. I'm very anxious to see with new coach. It just seems like totally new team. You gave Kaepernick all that money. Now you guys produce.
Yeah, they gave Kaepernick money. They brought in Torrey Smith. He's a deep threat. Kaepernick's one flaw is that he can't throw a deep ball. I don't know what this team's doing. They just haven't made any they haven't made any headway in the offseason that makes any sense to me.
Right.
And they're getting old fast. And I felt like you were in prime position to take a risk on a guy like Gregory or Ray that were going to be top 10 picks.
Yeah.
If this is the time to take the risk, this is here. You really don't lose much or catch much slack on the way back for taking a risk on these guys.
Right.
They didn't do it. I read an article last night after the draft. It was called Thumbs Up, Thumbs Down, and they had all the ESPN analysts rank all the picks, thumbs up or thumbs down.
Mm-hmm.
There were only 3 thumbs down picks, and the top 17, which is where we are now, were all thumbs up, and I couldn't believe it. And the first thumbs down pick was right here at 18, with Kansas City taking Marcus Peters, and I could not agree or disagree anymore. This is an awesome pick for Kansas City.
Definitely.
Peters is my second best cornerback off the board compared to Trey Waynes.
Right.
They were citing off-field issues.
Do you like it a little bit more than the Wake Forest guy?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I do. I just think he's a better tackler. I think he's a better coverage guy. I think he's just I really like Marcus Peters. Marcus Peters has the potential.
He comes from
even
a
though I hate
physical
that word.
school too.
Yeah, I mean he could blow the NFL up by storm.
Right.
He has the talent, and he showcased it a little bit too. Andy Reid loves these type of guys too. I told you this last night.
Mm-hmm.
Deshaun Jackson, Jeremy Maclin, Sean McCoy, Michael Vick. He takes these character guys and he makes them into performers.
He does.
So I didn't understand why everyone was worried. I don't understand how you give this guy a thumbs down for character issues, but you can give Mariota and Winston, not Mariota, sorry, Winston, other guys that have had character issues a little bit. You give them thumbs up.
That was what my main problem was, Chase, and that's why I told you and kept reiterating the things that and the points I made to you last night. We need to be the ones talking about this, Chase. Gruden and Kuiper, I love Boomer. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I love him. I love him to death. He's up there with my tops like Stuart Scott is. You get what I'm saying? I love Berman, but you can't go through all that time and not say anything, and then all of a sudden you have negative points about these guys. All of a sudden the off the field issues are just so overwhelming when you were breaking these guys down and looking at their tape and not even discussing the off the field issues.
Yeah.
But yet you had, and this is what I don't understand about ESPN, but yet you had Jameis Winston have an interview with Jim Harbaugh, which I thought was just completely random. Why is he even talking to him? You need to be scheming. He was just cussing at him. I don't understand their placement with some of these guys. I know Mel Kiper has been producing mock drafts, Chase, for before I was born. Totally respect it. You get what I'm saying? But the players are different now. The off the field issues are different. Everything's different, man. Different generation. These guys they don't need to keep talking about it, Chase. I'm almost sick of it.
Yeah.
Because it's really ridiculous.
Yeah, and each off-season, each off-field issue is unique in its own sense. Like, I don't view the Shane Ray thing to be serious at all.
Well, that's what Gruden was like, how stupid do you have to be to ride around with just a small significance of, whatever the case may be.
In your car.
In
a
your
state
car.
Where it's legal? I don't think it's stupid at all. He's in a state where it's legal.
It's crazy, man.
That's like me just, I'm not thinking about, literally, he doesn't get in trouble with anyone except the NFL.
Right.
Because in Colorado, it's legal, and the only one who cares is the NFL.
Right.
I don't think that's that stupid compared to somebody who takes a picture after the draft with crab legs after being accused of suing said crab legs.
But yet he's the one that falls.
Yeah, exactly.
My thing is everybody was so and that's why I couldn't agree with those guys, because you were just so high on Shane. Gruden and Mel, they were just saying that if he doesn't require foot surgery, he's ready to go. But obviously in the minds of the organizations, Chase, you hit it right on the head. He dropped.
Yeah.
So that's just it. Where are we at now?
Cleveland took a center, Cameron Irving from Florida State at 19.
What do you feel about that? Cleveland just needs to take anybody, no matter who they take. It's just going to be bad.
Best available. Well, I think they did a good job. I think they got Shelton and they got Irving.
Yeah, I like that Shelton pick.
They addressed the defensive line and the offensive line, and Cleveland just keeps bulking up. Cleveland's making a very good team.
Yeah.
The only thing they're missing, I think in a year or two, Cleveland will have a quarterback fall in their lap, hopefully, and the rest of the team will be set up.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
They're going to be set up defensively. They're going to be set up on the O-line, and they're
so
just
they're
going
trying
to
to basically
be a skill player,
put a
two,
team together
receivers.
to where they can just plug somebody in and then they're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Philadelphia surprised me here at number 20, taking Nelson.
Nelson Aguilar.
Here. I thought they could pair him in here.
I like Nelson, but at the same time,
I like Nelson too. I read some up
his
on
game
this last night.
is a little weird.
Chip Kelly. He's loved this kid for about 6 years.
Are you about to bring up that Pac-12 stat?
I don't have a Pac-12
Okay,
stat.
well, it's one. I'll just spit a stat for you real quick. I guess he only takes Pac-12 players. I think mostly 80% of the players he's drafted since he's been head coach have been Pac-12 players. Something
I was
like that.
looking at the Eagles rosters last night, and he had I saw that he went out and he got Kenjon Barner.
Yeah.
And he has Josh Huff. I was like, all these guys played with you at Oregon. He's like putting Oregon back
together. I'm telling you, man. I think they said 80 to 85. I think it might have been like 82 to be approximate. I don't want to get it wrong on here, but yeah. He loves Pac-12, man.
What's that say? Like better
He knows those
better to go
guys.
with somebody
Yeah.
you know than somebody
Yeah.
you don't.
That's true.
This is somebody when I was reading last night. It was somebody he recruited out of high school. They went to Southern Cal instead.
Yeah.
And then he watched him catch like 160 or 100 over 100 yards against them one time.
Yeah.
So he knew he kind of wanted this kid.
Right.
Makes sense. Fits their system. He won't be a number 1. I think he has the potential to be a nice number 2 over there with Jordan.
Yeah, that's what I
Matthews.
was thinking. Maybe a number 2. I think Perriman fell also, Chase, because they kept talking about, and like I said, they weren't talking about this before. Before they were talking about how fast he was, how big he was. Now his drops are a problem.
Yeah.
Now he dropped the ball too much. Come on, man. Cut that out.
Cincinnati here took an offensive tackle.
Let me ask you, that was really integral for me, Chase, because Marvin Lewis got the contract extension. Everybody's upset and pissed off because they feel like he's not producing, he's not winning. How does he keep getting a job? How does he keep, having a job remaining there in Cincinnati? What do you feel about this pick?
I don't understand. They already have 2 tackles. They have Andrew Whitworth at left tackle, and they have Andre Smith at right tackle. I realize Smith's in a contract year, and Whitworth's getting a little older. He's like 34, I believe. You just drafted an offensive tackle that has injury problems. He's coming off a torn ACL. I felt like and the offensive line this year in the draft, it's just not that strong. I felt like if this was your pick at Cincinnati, I don't understand why you didn't trade back. There were people here that wanted to trade up. They wanted to go for guys like Ray and Dupree, maybe even Gregory. There were teams willing to take the risk. I felt like you probably could have gotten like the Patriots pick maybe, or a later first-round pick, or 2 second-round picks for a second and a third. You didn't really have to do this.
Right.
I feel like this is just a wash for them. This is a guy that won't even play much this year, and he'll give them an excuse to not have to re-sign Andre Smith. Or this is a down-the-road pick when I felt like there were just really good players available.
Right, and that's how I feel about first round. I feel first round, and I'm not piggybacking off the Gruden thing, catch the ball, whatever. But first round means that guy can come in and he can play right now.
Yeah, I think so. That's
right
what you
now.
need.
Yeah, right now. Right now.
Unless my team is just completely set, I have 0 needs. That's very few teams. The only team I've kind of felt that way about was the Packers. And I felt like they addressed their needs.
And that's why you sent me what you did, saying they could have picked anybody.
Yeah, I felt like the Packers could have just taken whoever they wanted to.
Where are we at now?
Pittsburgh right here took Bud Dupree. They're probably doing backflips that Bud Dupree
I love that pick, man. I love his game. I just think, sometimes you see players, Chase, it's funny that this comes up, and this is, and that's the point of Q&A, folks. We're not dissing or not respecting the past generations. You created the game today, but you have to respect what it is today. You get what I'm saying? But Dupree was a perfect example of, he was, like, to me, he was a Steeler. You know what I mean? Like, he's that type of player, hybrid, can do it all.
And they need help
high
with
character,
linebacker. Jarvis Jones hasn't panned out.
Jarvis Jones out of Georgia, correct?
Yeah, he just hasn't. He hasn't done what they thought they were going to do.
Yeah, he wasn't. They picked him very high too.
So they need Bud Dupree to come in. They need him to be special. Broncos trade up here at 23, take Shane Ray, and kudos to Denver because they just got a top 10 pick. At 23.
They're saying, Chase, that he did. I mean, he's come out of his mouth. I can't think of her name. Stacy. I can't think of the reporter. She's been doing it for a while. But she interviewed him on the spot. The man said he does not need foot surgery. He said he's ready to go. So let's go.
I love this kid. I like him a lot. I think the off-field issue is a blimp. I think it's blown out of proportion.
I mean, he got them a ring in Missouri, Chase. He definitely elevated that program. You have to respect him. A lot of people. Let me ask you this. I know we're getting close on time as well. About 8 more minutes. I'm gonna head up to take this exam, but a lot of comparisons, Chase. My voice has to change on this one. It's very interesting to me. Comparisons between Shane Ray and what's the Missouri that came out last year? He hasn't gotten picked up. He's doing Dance with the Stars and all that crap. Michael, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Sam.
Yeah, Michael Sam. I've been seeing
Two completely different players.
Yeah, and
Shane's got talent.
Right.
Honestly, I love Michael Sam.
I guess the question has been proposed of what's the difference between Shane Ray having so much
talent.
Yeah, I mean, it's quickly
different players.
Right.
A lot of Sam's height, unfortunately, was because of his sexual orientation and not so much of his on the field prowess.
Right. I guess a lot of people just been saying, if you look at their highlights and things like that, their game is similar. And I was like, I don't.
The games might be similar. Talent. Shane Ray just has a lot more talent.
Higher ceiling, like you said.
Yeah. And he's just a better player.
Yeah.
24, DJ Humphreys, another reach on offensive line for me.
That was a Florida guy, right?
Yeah, Arizona fella they needed.
I think he's a little too big, but
yeah,
we'll see.
I just don't think if I.
Where are you gonna put him
I
at?
was ranking. They'll probably put him at tackle.
Okay.
I don't know.
He has the body of a center.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll put him. I don't know if they'll be able to handle left. They might have to go right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt like this once again. They felt like they needed an offensive lineman, but the offensive linemen are dissipating really quickly. I don't know.
It's
if
still free agency, man. There's
first round pick.
Yeah, me either.
But I guess they felt it was. It's what they needed.
Right.
I'm not gonna hold him down too much. There's not a lot available at this point in the draft, other than maybe. I mean, there's really good guys left. There's Perriman left. There's Smith left, but they don't need help at receiver. They don't need help defensively. So this made sense to me. 25, man, your Panthers took one of my favorite players in this draft. They took Shaq Thompson.
Love him.
Out of Washington.
What is he going to play, Chase? That's the question that's been proposed, and I'm going to propose it to you. I know we're getting close. He's going to play. I mean, is he going to play safety? Is he going to play OLB? I mean, is he going to be one of those hybrid? I mean, we got Luke Kuechly. We got Thomas Davis. I feel like he can cut weight, man, and he could play safety.
Yeah.
We do have Roman Harper, who's getting older in age. Former Saints safety. And I love Roman Harper's game. He's a hitter, but he's getting older, you know.
Shaq has me really excited. And as a Steelers,
you think he'll just be somebody you can just throw him anywhere he'll produce?
As a Steelers fan, I get really excited about him because I see Troy Polamalu type.
Yeah, I do see that. Yeah, I do see that.
A
lot of Washington players went.
Let him get the ball. Yeah, a lot of defensive Washington players went.
Yeah.
Just you can put him at safety. You can put him at corner. You can do a lot of outside linebacker, safety, rover.
You think too slow to play safety or nickel?
He'll be fine.
So he can be almost kind of
becoming a position
what Captain Munderland was, maybe.
Not going to be as quick as Mutterland.
Okay.
He can still do stuff. I feel like Mutterland's a little smaller. Quicker.
Yeah, very small.
I like Captain. You can put this guy punt returner, kick returner, maybe a little more punt returner. He doesn't have the open field speed, I think, quite enough to be a kick returner. But punt returner, safety, rover, outside linebacker, he can fit. He could be the next Troy Polamalu. He has that potential. He has that ceiling. He has that unique build, quickness.
Yeah. As far as
physically, he gets to the ball.
He was ready. Yeah.
Some players just have this intricate
killer instinct.
Yeah, they just know where the ball is, man. They can just get to it.
That's why I like that Gregory kid, and that's why I feel you with that Shane Ray pick because I mean the boys Leonard, they find the ball, man, and I mean some of their highlights. It doesn't matter, it might not always be form tackling, but if them boys put a piece of their body on you, you're going down.
Yeah.
I mean I saw Leonard bring down one hitman. He brought down Brett Hudley, who's not a little guy whatsoever, very hardcore. Where are we at now? We're getting close.
Baltimore
we got 4 minutes.
I felt like this was good. They kind of replaced Torrey Smith after they lost him.
Yeah.
Give Flacco a weapon.
Where else could they have went with this, Chase? Where do you think? Where else could they have?
They could have gone defensive tackle because they lost Nada. So I felt like they could have gone Malcolm Brown here.
Did lose a Lodi Nada. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Malcolm Brown would have been a nice pick for them. But I understand Perriman. I had Perriman as the number 3/4 wide out on my board. I had him in white. Together. So
yeah, I felt the same.
White went 12, and this guy's at 26. So it's a steal for Baltimore.
Baltimore. I mean, he's 215 pounds. He's a Baltimore player. He's what they want. Where are we at?
Dallas took Byron Jones out of UConn, cornerback, good pick.
Safe pick.
Yeah, good safe pick. It's what you need. Detroit at 28 took an offensive guard.
Where else could they have went, Chase? That pick was very interesting to me because I feel like the Lions are like. When I say they're at the coast, I don't mean like they're like about to win a championship, but I just feel like they made some improvements last year with the new head coach. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we saw consistent play.
This team could have gone defensive. Once again, Malcolm Brown could have been taken here. You lost Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah. It's definitely a good point right there, Chase.
I don't know if you'll have Nick Fairley again next year. If they'll be able to re-sign him or if they did re-sign him, I can't remember. But they could have gone defense here. I guess they wanted to protect Stafford a little more.
Right.
It's one of the best guards off the board, interior lineman, but I'm just really not big on the offensive lineman class this year. I feel like any pick for them in the first 2 rounds is kind of a reach.
Right.
You're really addressing a need over the best available player, so we'll see how that works for them.
Mm-hmm.
Andy took Philip Dorsett here, safe-ish pick. I'm not too big on Dorsett.
He's 5'9". When I think, and I'm not dissing his height at all. He can definitely produce. The U is the U, and I don't care what anybody says. Great players still produce there. I'm always worried when I see the picks or I guess that type of player getting picked because I always think, and I'm not dissing this guy at all, I think Tavon. I think DeAnthony. Where is he? Is he a slot guy? Because it's funny, Chase. When I think of slot guys, and then I think of slot guys in the NFL, and they're not the same. You get what I'm saying? Like Tavon and Wes Welker. You get what I'm saying? Tavon and who was somebody else that played? Who's a Patriots slot guy? Edelman. It's weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the speed is like it doesn't matter if you have speed. You have to be a little bit bigger. You have to be able to take a hit. Where is this guy gonna play? Can he play wide out?
Yeah, I don't know. They'll probably throw him in the slot, let T.Y. Hilton run out underneath. I felt like
They said he's like a baby T.Y. And I mean T.Y. is short and T.Y. produces, but I mean T.Y. is a deep
you don't
threat.
want a bunch of just small, fast guys.
Yeah.
I felt like they would try to replace. I don't know. I guess they brought in Andre Johnson, and he can be a big guy. I thought they were going to go defensive here. I thought they were going to get a corner. Or maybe
Yeah,
a
I kind of was
safety.
thinking that too.
I thought they might have gone like Collins or something. I don't know. I had
Collins
I had Dorsett as my 10th best receiver. So they were
Collins
still,
out of Alabama. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they still have Coates. Coates was on the board. Devin Smith.
Yeah. Once we've get through, I want you to tell me who's pretty much who you have 5 best. Still left.
All right. Green Bay took Randall. Green Bay could have taken whoever they wanted to.
Cutting down on time.
New Orleans took an inside linebacker, Stephon Anthony out of Clemson.
Yeah.
I
didn't hear a lot about him.
needed a linebacker.
Didn't hear a lot about him.
Once again, I'm going to evaluate the Saints after the third round.
Right.
I have no idea what they're doing. The New England lost Vince Wilfork, and Malcolm Brown fell in their lap.
He was there.
Hallelujah to New England. They just looked at the rest of the league and said thank you.
True indeed.
Bunch of dum-dums. Best 5 players I have left, I have Randall Gregory still on my board. Someone needs to take him early today. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in the first 10 picks or if somebody trades up for him. This is where you take the risk.
Right.
We're talking about top 10 player potential in this draft. If you can get his off-field issues straightened out.
Yeah.
High risk, high reward. I think a team like Denver already took their risk, but I was thinking of Denver or Green Bay, somebody that needs another pass rusher, needs another elite player, doesn't have a lot to lose. I see him going pretty early in the second. When is Collins going to go at Alabama? I don't know. Should be soon. I think receivers are going to start coming off the board pretty fast.
Yeah.
Coates, Devin Smith might be a third-round pick. I'm interested to see where Green Beckham goes because I think the ceiling's really high on him.
Yeah.
But he hasn't shown consistency of late. And I want to see where Brett Hundley goes because if he goes somewhere that has a good quarterback, I think he might end up being the best quarterback out of this draft.
I see him. I feel like a.
Chicago, Detroit.
Yeah, Chicago, Detroit, Green Bay, New Orleans,
Atlanta.
man. Yeah,
Any
Atlanta.
of these places that are kind of getting the quarterback starting to age, decline. Even San Diego.
Pittsburgh.
If San Diego doesn't think Rivers, they're going to be able to keep Rivers there if he's unhappy.
And he seems like Phillip Rivers is not a little guy. He's big body. Brett definitely fits in that strong arm.
So a lot of places Hundley can go, and I like Hundley a lot. I'm interested.
Who needs to make a while we're getting close to wrapping it up, so I can get to this exam? Let me ask you this and propose this one last question to you. Who needs to get it right in the second and third round? Give me
New
maybe.
Orleans needs to get these next
give me 5
picks, right?
teams. Give me 5 teams.
New Orleans, Atlanta needs to do something. Let's see, New Orleans, Atlanta.
Maybe Vikings, maybe.
Vikings are fine. Detroit needs to get it together.
Yeah,
They're on the
Detroit.
cusp. They need to make some moves.
Yeah.
I want to see. I honestly, I think the Panthers did an awesome job with Shaq Thompson, but I want to see Carolina do a little bit more.
Yeah, true indeed.
I really hope they get Devin Smith.
That would be
I think
good.
that's an
We
awesome
need
fit for
we
him.
need somebody who can come in and play right now.
Yeah.
Alongside
Devin Smith
Benjamin.
and Sammy Coates, I think are awesome.
I'd love to see
selections that
Sammy
they can
Coates
get.
and Benjamin. I'd love to.
That would be nice. I'm interested to see what Chip Kelly does, but he doesn't have to. And the last team that desperately needs to get it right is San Francisco.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were thinking with Armstead, unless they were just thinking we won't no risk at all. But they didn't really have a need for him either.
His stats don't even back it up. I don't know. We'll see.
And I feel like Washington's always on the cusp of just making monumental decisions. Oakland too. If Oakland can make the right decisions, they can turn this franchise into.
They definitely could, man. They're aiming in the right direction. Very positive. That's the draft recap, folks. We gave you everything today. Graduation is next Saturday. Counting down. I graduate from college in 8 days. God is good. Congratulations to all the seniors out there. For the fans of Q&A, I'm hoping, folks, I'm not going to state this as our last episode. I won't state it. I won't speak it into existence. I'm hoping they could at least let us go up until next Wednesday. We do have the senior celebration on Friday. But if the fans want to hear it, and if it's available to be given out, we're gonna do it. But let's count on Wednesday. We'll be here. Like I said, all the recordings are down. We got a few visuals for you. The YouTube channel will be up very soon. So you can really get it out there. Put this out there. We really want to take this to the next level, folks. I love what we're doing on this show, and I'm not just saying that. I'm not just saying that because Chase is a friend of mine. This man really knows what he's talking about. His numbers are there and consistent. Check out McGrady Sports on, what do you have it on Twitter, Facebook, everything? Twitter, Facebook. Really check that out, folks. Really, really do that. It's not all about the money. When you can feel comfortable, putting the picks down and getting revenue, you got to do it, man. Cause and effect. Q&A, McGrady Sports, Addison Taylor, Chase McFadden. This is Q&A signing out.